Rink Rats, what's going on? Andy Campbell here, representing the Chicago Rinkcast. Hope you are all doing well. Happy New Year. Hope everyone out there is safe. Hope everyone out there is healthy. And you're enjoying life the best you can during this time. I am here with my usual friends, my usual suspects. Eric Andrews is here. Welcome back, Eric. We missed you in December. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I do want to make a point of, obviously, I'm not a hat guy, but I do have some nice apparel today. I've got the Marc-Andre Fleury 500th win shirt.
That's not bad.
That's sweet.
That's pretty hot. I like it. Yeah. Well played. Well played. And originally hailing from the great state of New York, the Bardo. How we doing, man? What's going on? Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Happy New Year.
Now, what dome do you have there? That's hot. I like that.
So this is the locker room national championship hat for the UMass Minutemen, the reigning, defending national champion of men's ice hockey.
Well played. Well paid. I see Shawnee going, ooh, that's really great. It really should be mine.
Yeah.
What he's thinking right now. And the epic Sean Fitzgerald. Happy New Year to you, my friend. How are you? What's going on?
I'm great. Happy New Year to you. Shout out to my dad. It is the big 6'5" for my dad today. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Fitzgerald. Awesome.
Yep. Thank you for encouraging me to be me and be weird. And I love it.
Love it.
My hat is from the Sonoma Stompers, formerly of the Pacific Association of Professional Baseball Clubs.
Nice.
And now currently a California Collegiate League team for the Summer League.
Okay. Okay.
They were in a book. It's by two guys from Baseball Prospectus. The only rule is it has to work. And it's basically two guys. They're made GM of this, or they run this team for a whole season. They do it all on like stats and analysis and stuff like that. I thought it was really cool. They even mentioned a college from my conference where I went to school. I went to Monmouth College. They mentioned the Grinnell Pioneers. I don't like the Grinnell Pioneers, but that was a cool shout out. So
no, I'm sorry. That is a cool shout out though. Not bad. Love it. All right. Well, before we begin, I want to give a shout out. I got some swag today too. I've got Brooks school hockey jersey on right now. The school that I work at, to both teams, Brooks boys hockey, Brooks girls hockey, currently out of action. The games are getting canceled. They're all bummed out. It's a shame, but they're still out there skating hard and having fun. Big shout out to Owen Christopher, the captain of the boys team, the OC. I know he's listening tonight. What's up, buddy? How are you? I had a good skate with the girls team yesterday, and I tell you what, fellas, I was a pylon out there. A lot of these girls are hoping to be D3, D1 hockey players, and damn, they were good. And the energy, shift after shift after shift, and reminded me of my age and my place in life. So go Brooks Hockey. Wanted to throw that out there. Shout out to our sponsor before we get going, puckhockey.com, puckhcky.com. Use discount code The Rink for 10% off. $100 gets you a free t-shirt. If you're interested, some pretty good swag on there. So go check out some of the Rink Rats rink wear. Shawnee's got one underneath his zip hood, his quarter zip there, and pretty good stuff. He's got the baseball shirt on. We love it. Anyway, to our show, we got a few things to cover tonight. We're going to get into the NHL a little bit, go around the league. We're going to talk about the Olympics, and then we're going to finish it off with an All-Madden Draft, an ode to John Madden. And we're going to select the Rink's All-Madden teams. But before we do all that, as you can see on the ticker, the Blackhawks are brutal. They're so bad. And wow, we've been saying this for a long time. We're going to talk about them since they're our favorite team for a few minutes here, but we're not going to continue to beat the dead horse that we've been beating for 5+ years right now. The Blackhawks stink. They stink. They're not very good at hockey right now. They are currently 11 points out of a playoff spot. They were 7 points out of a playoff spot when Jeremy Colleton was fired. And though they were playing some good hockey before the new year under Derek King, all that seems a wash. It's over. Any of you getting these delusions that they're going to go on some sort of run here, leave those at home. It's not happening. Sean, how are you feeling about our Hawks, buddy?
Not very good. Derek King kind of pointed it out, and I think Bray mentioned it in a tweet about, and I thought we'd talk about it here. Derek King called the team out. He said half the team wasn't ready to play against the Predators. He said several guys weren't ready to play against Calgary. I think, this is just me speculating, I think that was his message to them after the first period against Colorado, because the second period and from then out, they were way better. Jonathan Taves looked like he was a man possessed. So I think that's the one message. That's the one thing that I think I could take some solace in is I don't think Jeremy Colleton ever communicated well, despite being labeled a great communicator. I think Derek King doesn't care. He's an AHL coach. He knows he's going to be an AHL coach. He's not sugarcoating stuff. So if they're not playing well, he's going to be like, you're not playing well. Get your heads out of your rear ends and play better. At least make it competitive. So I think that's what you're going to get with Derek King the rest of the way. They're not going to be very good, but at least hopefully they're going to at least put some effort into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, they'll have a few games where it'll be fun to follow Alex DeBrincat, and he'll have a 40-goal season. Congratulations. Kane will get his points. We'll watch Taves try his heart out, and that'll be that. I don't know. Eric, where are you with this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean did a good job kind of summarizing where things are at right now. I did want to make note of the Taves thing. I mean, it was kind of fun seeing that like retro Taves almost. I mean, that's something we really haven't seen in the recent, past. I mean, it's been years since he looked like that. Granted, it was for 2 periods, but still, where we're at right now, you got to kind of find positives. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, I guess where I'm at, I just hope that we do see, that type of effort brought, even if they're not winning games, which realistically they will not be. But, if they're working hard and they're making things at least somewhat interesting, that's still, to some extent worth watching. Whereas how they're playing at the beginning of the season under Colleton, I mean, I remember on an earlier podcast, I said I was going to watch them play this game. And in the 5 minutes it took for me to get in from my car and turn on the game, they were already down like 2 or 3-0. And it's like, well, what's the point of wasting the rest of my night then? So as long as it's not that all over again, if there is, some level of consistency, even if it's consistently not great, then, at least you can respect the effort and, get behind that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of that. And then obviously, seeing, some hopeful development for some of the younger players. I know that they've been talking about potentially having Lucas Reichel come up at some point soon here. So, I mean, that's something to look forward to. I certainly would not expect him to come and light the world on fire by any means. But, I mean, getting that first glimpse of your top prospect is always an exciting thing. So that's at least something to look forward to here probably in the next, few weeks or month or two. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Lucas Reichel, that's great. I mean, who was it? Ben Pope on the Sun-Times. Was he ranking their prospects the other day?
Yeah, that's the article I shared.
And, he did even mention Drew Comesso. We got totally robbed of kind of some looks at what Drew Comesso is ultimately going to be with the World Junior shutting down. But other than that, I mean, grim scene. I mean, flip on a game every now and then. Hope that there's a game with points. Wait till after the first period, because if it's 3-0 to whoever's playing the Hawks, then, get a bag of popcorn. There's a lot of good stuff on Netflix right now. And there's a lot of good hockey being played elsewhere, pretty much. So, Bardo, are you feeling similarly? I mean, are we just wasting our time here following the Hawks?
I don't even want them to be competitive. I don't even want them to win games. I want them to suck on ice, literally. And the reason why is because I don't want Derek King back, because I don't want to fall into that interim coach trap that, guy does well and, let's hire him. I don't want to fall into that trap.
No.
I'm looking the rest of the way for talent development, what they do at the deadline, who's going to be the next GM, what is the vision moving forward. So people like Reichel, I'd like to see what he does. I'd like to see what Mitchell looks like, coming back from the AHL.
Yeah, give Beaudin another shot. I mean,
give Beaudin another shot, exactly.
Another look, try him out.
Yeah, all these guys. I mean, I'm literally looking at development, who is going to be part of this rebuild and who is not. And I'm also glad that the media is actually now starting to talk about the future of Kane and Taves. They did that during the intermission of the game against Colorado the other day. I'm glad that's actually being talked about, because it probably means it's, starting to get talked about internally at the Hawks.
Yeah. Well, it needs to be. And I mean, I think that trade is a year away, at best case summer. I don't think it's going to happen on this deadline because I don't, we'll get into this in a little bit, but the NHL and teams taking on big contracts right now amidst a financial crisis is probably not something that anyone really wants to do. That could pose a problem. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want them to win games either. I mean, play as many young kids to be as bad as you possibly can to put you in a position to maybe get that lottery pick that will not be forfeited to Columbus in the Seth Jones trade. What is it? They need a 1 or a 2?
1 or a 2.
1 or a 2.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there's still, some ping pong balls definitely need to go their way if that's going to happen. Yeah. But, I guess when you're, Eric, you mentioned we're searching for little bits of good news here and there. Alex Nylander is no longer with the organization.
That's great news.
Which is great. I think that it's, I want to learn from your mistakes. Though I don't know. I mean, that trade still, Yoki Haru, I don't know if he'll pan out either. It might just be a guy for a guy. A draft pick that didn't pan out for a draft pick that didn't pan out.
They should have taken Ottinger with that pick.
Yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been swell. But at the same time, he's moving on. And, best of luck to Alex Nylander. It didn't work out. Best of luck overseas where you sign your next contract next year, because that's probably where he's going to be. But at any rate, the UC is going to be very, very empty for the rest of the year. Obviously, COVID plays a big role in that, but your on-ice product has just been deplorable. The organization's been through the ringer.
The UC will be empty during Hawks games.
Oh, yes.
Not during Bulls games.
Not during Bulls games. It'll be packed. And I would love to even fly home and check them out in action. Everything that's going on with the Chicago Bulls right now is very real. And who knows, maybe if the Blackhawks are still, we have nothing to talk about with them, maybe we'll have a Bulls cast next time.
We'll just call it the United Center podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, people are saying, golly, are you guys talking about the Hawks again? Let me know and I'll schedule my next root canal and, listen to it on iTunes or whatever. So anyway, that's enough. That's enough about the Hawks. Let's look around the league a little bit. What do you say, fellas? Huh? Last time we did this and we chatted, we were talking about, we went division by division. We were talking about some teams. Let's break that down a little bit further. But Shawnee, you were one of the teams you were really diving into and we were getting at when you were attacking the Centrals, the Minnesota Wild. And around December 9th or 10th or whenever we had that podcast, things were looking up. And what's going on now in Minneapolis? Different look?
Yeah, so they were coming off. They were in the midst of an 8-game winning streak when we last spoke on the 9th. And they'd won that night. They beat San Jose 5-2. And since that time, they've lost 5 in a row. In their last 5 games, they've scored 20 goals, given up 26. And Ryan Hartman, who had 13 goals last time we spoke, in the last 5 games, he's only got 2. And then Marcus Foligno, he has moved. He's got 15, and Eriksson Ek, he scored 1 goal since we spoke last time, and they were combined for 34 goals. They had 93 goals at one point. They were tops in the league, and now it's fallen off a cliff. And they were leading the division. Now they're in 3rd place, behind St. Louis. St. Louis and Nashville. They're 3 points behind St. Louis, 4 behind Nashville, and they're tied with the Avs. I had them in the playoffs. Now it looks like they're going to be battling Winnipeg for one of the lower spots in the division.
Yeah,
they've fallen off a cliff.
They had a ton of guys out for the Winter Classic. I know that.
They did.
I assume the COVID bug and injury bug kind of hit them all at the same time. I guess the good news is that they do have some ground to make up. They haven't played as many games as a lot of their counterparts, except for the Avs. The Avs have played probably the least amount. I think the Avs are at 29 games right now. But Minnesota could still make up some ground, with the likes of St. Louis. But St. Louis looks awfully good right now.
They do.
they've got some good stuff, and our buddy the Sod Father's doing really well over there. Brandon Sod is a hell of a player.
I think big picture for Minnesota. I mean, I love that they just locked up, Evison and the rest of their coaching staff and their front office, so they got stability. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we all thought, or at least many people out there thought that they were going to go through a major rebuild. When the Suter and the Parisi thing didn't work out, and they went through buyouts, but not so fast. They're playoff contenders.
Yeah.
Evison is 62, 29, and 7.
That's pretty
Since
darn
he
good.
had the title of interim coach removed from him in July of 2020.
Job security.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that 40 games over 500, that
Yeah,
is
that's pretty good.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you
And
mentioned
another wild move. Victor Rask passed through waivers this week,
really,
which is he's such a talented guy. He just for whatever reason can't put it together
I can't get that
like
going.
for a whole deal.
Yeah,
Like
so
so.
there are 4 points right now separating the top 4 teams in the Central.
Yep.
So I mean, it's anyone's guess. I mean, Nashville as of right now is leading the Central. Nobody saw that coming.
No, and who knows? Like I was bashing Colorado, saying that Colorado was the sexy pick to make the Stanley Cup and win the division. They still good.
Still good.
Yeah.
Still good. Yeah, I mean they're at 40 points. Nashville's at 44, and they have 5 games in hand on Nashville.
Yeah.
So they could very easily take it. Another team that we kind of said, hey, we know they're going to be back at some point a month ago, and they were kind of fiddling around in the wild card area, were the Vegas Golden Knights, and now they are leading the Pacific. Pretty impressive. Anyone got any thoughts on Vegas? What's going on there? And they're still waiting for somebody.
They're still waiting for Jack Eichel.
That's the scary part about Vegas is they're still waiting on Jack, and when he comes back, look out, folks. Was it Eric? Was it you who had Vegas winning the Cup? Someone in our poll. I knew you had Carolina.
Yeah, I think I had Carolina against Vegas.
Yeah, Carolina against Vegas. Yeah. Well, my New York Islanders pick to win the Cup. Boy, this is why I don't do well in DraftKings and in any fantasy sports. My prognosticating is really
Well,
really.
Vegas is starting.
Vegas has won 6 of 9. Right?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying I had the New York Islanders winning the Cup. I mean,
I think I did too. So
I am sinking with the island as we
follow
speak.
Tommy for
Even though the Bardo
picks.
says don't ever count the Islanders out. They're still 10 points behind in a playoff spot right now, and the last wild card spot is the all of a sudden red hot streaking Boston Bruins. Who Tuukka Rask.
The Islanders also have so many. The Islanders have so many games to make up. Also,
They do.
They lost so many games, and they're going to play mostly at home the rest of the way.
They will. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the Islanders, the Bruins, the Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars, those teams have either played 28. Ottawa Senators have either played 28 or 29 games. When some people have played as many as 36. These guys are going to be playing every other night until April. And then what's interesting is those teams that do squeak in under the radar there, they're going to have any legs left at that point. I mean, this condensed NHL schedule right now is totally insane. I mean, it is what are you going to do? And I don't think the owners, with the revenue that they want to get, they're not going to throw in the towel there.
Right.
They lost too much revenue last year, not having any fans.
Yeah. But it is too bad Gate wasn't going to be able to make it tonight because one of the things I did want to bring up around the league, and Eric, I'm curious your thoughts on this. Tuukka Rask. I just mentioned a few moments ago, a professional tryout agreement with the Providence Bruins. What does that mean? One of those goalies now has to go. Yeah, eventually. Now, and then if they sign Rask, they're going to have to pay him. So is this going to be the first trade trip that falls? And where I'm going with this is does that mean Jake DeBrusk is finally shipped out? And then that starts the domino effect right there. What do we think?
It'll be interesting. I mean, I think the quote unquote easy way out for Boston, if they do sign Rask, is just send Jeremy Swayman down to Providence. It's not going to hurt anything, or throw him on the taxi squad if you want him around, or what, who cares? You probably want him playing games, so he's probably going to go to Providence. But I mean, I think it's a really good situation for the Bruins to be in, because truthfully, they're under zero obligation to bring Rask back. If he, spends whatever the next few weeks in Providence and just doesn't have it anymore, he doesn't have it anymore. Right. They're not going to sign him just to just to be a feel-good story.
Right.
Unless they want to throw him on the taxi squad for the rest of the season, which I guess they could do, but that's not really doing anything if that's the case. But yeah, I mean, obviously you hope that it works out and that, he's able to get back somewhat close to what he was able to do before, because, he's been, arguably one of, if not the best goalie in the NHL over the last 10 years. If you look at his stats, if you look at his stats and his numbers and everything over the last 10 years, I don't think there's any goalie in the NHL, that's played any meaningful minutes during that time that has performed better than Tuukka Rask. So,
yeah, they were 2 goals and 17 seconds away from Rask having 2 cups to his name, maybe a third in that other series he was in. While you were talking, Eric, Greg Wyshynski of ESPN said that he thinks it's a done deal. Like, he's going to do his conditioning assignment and then sign a contract with Boston.
And then they're going to sign him right away.
Yeah.
Bring him up.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Now the Bruins, I mean, they still have holes to fill with or without Rask. I mean, the biggest issue with Tuukka Rask is, I mean, the teams that they've put in front of him have really struggled defensively, and the local media and people calling in have just shredded this poor guy. I mean, he is so good. I mean,
here's something I was thinking about earlier today. This will absolutely never happen, but how hilarious would it be if he said, "Screw you, Boston, I'm going to Toronto."
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Go back to his draft team, win a cup for the Leafs against, knock out the Bruins.
Yeah,
not going
to
to
be.
Yeah, well, while we're talking about goaltender help in general, the Edmonton Oilers, oh boy. I mean, they're really you go into the year right now and everyone's talking win now. And ever since the new year, they've really been in the tank. Now they've got McDavid on the COVID list. He's not going to be playing for a little while. They've been riding his coattails like crazy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, their goaltending is their weakest link. I guess you could venture to say. And, there's some names thrown out there. And Bardo, there's one name I'm thinking of. But, Bardo, you've been following what's been going on in Edmonton and Tippett and everything. There's been a lot said and a lot going on out there.
And what's interesting is that I like Tippett as a head coach. I don't think it's all on him. I think, this team still is not very good defensively. I think they put a lot of stock in Duncan Keith. And he's not what he was 5-6 years ago. COVID has bitten them. So I still think this team is very, very short defensively. And in goal, I think goaltending is a huge, huge weakness. And, whether it's Marc-Andre Fleury or somebody else that's a seller, maybe they look at Dallas and one of their goaltenders because they have, a surplus there. But yeah, they're going to have to make a move if they want to, and I don't buy any of the rumors that, Mike Babcock could be the answer. I mean, I just don't. So I think
if Mike Babcock is the answer, you're asking the wrong question.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And Mike Smith's been terrible.
He has been. He's what, 37, 36? He's old.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
39.
Has Mike Smith been the same goalie since he beat the Hawks in 2012? I
don't think so. And I was just thinking that too.
Ever.
No, he had a .930 save percentage that year. And he hasn't. He hasn't come close to that since.
That Mike Vernon mask, was that him who had the Mike Vernon mask? That thing was sweet.
He finished 4th in the Vezina that year too.
Yeah, but then another name that's being floated around, Bardo, curious your thoughts, is Alexander Gorgiev. I don't know how you pronounce it, but
what's interesting about him is that I see a little bit of Camp Talbot in him. I don't think he's a good. He just had a nice little stretch when Shesterkin was hurt for the Rangers. He had a nice stretch where he played pretty well, but long term, you're not going to want him as your starting goaltender. I think he's a really good backup. I think he's a little bit overpaid right now, and somebody's going to probably overpay him in the offseason once he hits the market. But quite frankly, he's not a guy. If they trade for him, I mean, it's a Band-Aid, and it's not the answer. For sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think that might be one of the only affordable options if they continue in win now mode. But I mean, they're
Smith
on
LTIR.
Now all of a sudden they're fighting for their lives in the playoff chase. I mean, they're They're the 8th spot right now in the wild card.
Yep.
And Winnipeg is 1 point behind them. LA is 1 point behind them. San Jose is 3 points behind them. Both LA and Winnipeg have games in hand. I mean, this could be, unless they really figure this out fast, it could go down to the wire for them. So a lot of people, who are thinking cup for the Oilers, look out, folks.
Yeah, I mean, look, they started off hot, but then, look, I still think, in addition to goaltending, I think defense is a problem for them. I think Nurse was hurt, I think, for a while, right?
Yes.
He was hurt for a while. But then who else do you have on defense? I mean, Bouchard, he's been okay.
Cody Ceci.
I mean, he's
Slater Cuckoo.
Yeah, Blackhawks great
right now. Oh my God.
Yeah, Blackhawks great. Slater Cuckoo.
He looked like Thor. That was the only thing that was good about him.
Yeah, CC is a bottom 6 pair, a bottom third 3 paired. I can't even speak that. He's a third pairing defenseman, is what he is.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's no.
Interesting. Now the East is the beast right now. I mean, the teams in the East right now are really full steam ahead charging.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty. Carolina. I mean, I still think. I do think Carolina at this stage is going to win that division. And Eric, you're big on Carolina as well. I mean, they just seem like, ESPN Power Rankings had them number 1 today or earlier this week or whenever ESPN decided, oh yeah, that's right, we forgot, we need to write something about hockey. They threw that out there at some point. We'll put everything on ESPN Plus, and then we won't write too much stuff.
I still believe in Carolina in the East. They were my pick preseason, and I still believe in that team. I mean, look, they're playing really well. There's no question about it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they're going to make a move at the deadline. They're not going to stand pat.
Yeah.
And they're well run. They're well coached.
Right. I mean,
it just put 7 on Columbus.
Yeah. What I think is nuts right now, and that division in general is silly, and actually the Atlantic's silly too. I mean, as far as the talent level and the teams, but who no one really talks about? Well, that's not true. I mean, people do, but we haven't talked about that. I mean, the Washington Capitals, Ovechkin is a Hart candidate at his age right now. I mean, a lot of people are thinking, well, if McDavid slips up even just a little bit, it's between McDavid and Ovechkin. But I mean, the Capitals are just right in the thick of things. 2018 champs. Could 4 years later, could they still do this, or are they still missing things?
So could I make it an analogy? What the Capitals remind me of in many ways? After the Blackhawks won their, maybe it was their second cup, I don't remember, but you saw them sort of going through the motions in the regular season, and it's like, Are they done? And it's like they're bored. They just want to get to the postseason. They want to play good enough to get to the postseason. They don't care about finishing first or finish. They just want to get to the postseason because they are built for the postseason. And I just think that's what they're going to do at the deadline. They're going to look for just some depth guys, and again, another team that's well run. They Laviolette's won before, so I mean, quite frankly, I think that's a team I wouldn't worry about where they're sitting in the standings. But quite frankly, this is a team that you're gonna hear from.
Yeah, no, I mean they've got a lot of horses. I methey do. You mentioned the Hawks. They also remind me of the Penguins, how they kind of resurfaced a little bit later on after everyone said, oh, they'll never win again.
Mm-hmm.
They got that one cup in 2009, and then they'll never win again. They missed their window, and then they just kind of showed back up on the scene. I mean, the Caps
they won back to back.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the Penguins are all of a sudden still in the mix too. Not all of a sudden, but they're around. I mean, they're a wild card team right now. They might finish as a wild card team, probably will. But if Malkin comes back very soon, and that could possibly change some things. They could be threatening. They could go into the playoffs as a team that nobody wants to see.
Well, and especially you also have to factor in, they now have added an elite top line scoring winger in Alex Nylander.
I mean, based on his core side percentage, according to unnamed Twitter followers. No, yeah. So what we were saying in the text chat, just kind of tying it back to the Blackhawks really briefly, was like, the Pittsburgh Penguins are what the Blackhawks should have been. Like, after they won the 2009 championship, like you said, Andy, then they resurfaced again because they'd replenished with all that young talent. And then the young talent was cost effective, and they were able to supplement the Malkins of the world, the Sidney Crosbys of the world, and stuff like that. That's what the Blackhawks didn't do, and now you're seeing it again. Pittsburgh's coming back around again with younger, like they've got guys that are making under $1 million or such and such on their roster. Like the Hawks don't have that.
Well, and how are they doing that? Because they draft well and they develop well.
Right.
Exactly.
And they
100%.
made smart trades.
That's how they do it.
Yep.
Just smarter people running their hockey club, essentially.
That's all it is.
That's kind of what we're getting at here. Yeah, Detroit's going to be exciting in the years to come. They're going to be on the outside looking in probably, but obviously a very bright future in Detroit. And we were talking about Washington adding chips at the deadline. Just don't call Steve Yzerman and get fleeced again.
It's amazing. Detroit's head coach.
Steve Yzerman is going to fleece somebody again.
Yeah,
the guy is smarter than everybody in the league.
Yeah, I would not do business with Yzerman. He's going to get you. Bardo, what were you saying about their coach?
No, I'm saying that everyone had Detroit's head coach fired, and now he's just all of a sudden he's starting to help develop that talent, and he's doing well.
I mean,
Blashill. Well, I mean,
Blashill,
he coached well their AHL team for a number of years when Babcock was running. He just got to the Red Wings when the cupboard was barren. Now that Yzerman's replenishing it, a coach only makes so much of a difference if you don't have any talent. Like, and Yzerman's you knew this is what was going to happen. It wasn't like Yzerman is a dummy or anything. You knew, like, it's not like he was a fluke.
Yeah, but that was my point also with Tippett, is that Tippett also took that team. Forget about just the conference finals. I mean, that team made the playoffs with not a lot of talent, and he did that largely because of the system that he put in place, the defensive system. And now he's got oodles of talent, and now now everyone wants him fired. Well, he didn't become a moron overnight, and I don't think it's the coaching that's the problem. I think it's a talent issue. It's a talent issue in goal. You can only do so much.
Their blue line talent's been an issue for years.
Yeah, years. They're the Toronto of the West.
Yep, because they're built exactly like Toronto. Toronto's got all their money invested up front in their forwards, and so does Edmonton.
Yeah. It's Morgan Riley and a bunch of trash in Toronto.
Yeah, the other quick plug on just Stevie Y. It's amazing how a few years ago or a couple years ago, I can't remember the exact year, but what people thought when he drafted Moritz Snyder or Sider. And people were going, "What on earth is he doing? This is terrible. He could have traded."
They were burning Yzerman jerseys. Like it was.
I mean, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And now I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to watch some of the World Juniors before it was canceled, but this guy Edvinsson that they have, the Swede who they picked, I mean, that kid was lights out in the 2 games that Sweden played. And just to think that those are going to be their 2 stalwarts on their blue line moving forward, when you have Lucas Raymond, when, you finally give Larkin guys to play with, and, Stevie will make all the right moves and make them into contenders as he did. Tampa's winning cups on his dime right now. And so the guy you love to hate back in the day, Steve Yzerman, because he was so damn good. Now the Red Wings they don't even seem like rivals anymore. So it's a lot easier to like him now. But, hey, I don't know. Hats off to Stevie Y. Before we do the Madden draft, quick plug on the Olympics. Eric, what is going on with the Olympics exactly? Do people even care anymore? Obviously, Brad Marchand had a few things to say about it. He's ready to go. It seems like I'm sure a lot of NHL players that have already had COVID, it's very easy for them to say, "Oh, I'll go now." But what are they doing? What's going on? Who's playing? When do they decide? What's the deal?
I don't think anyone knows the answer to any of those questions, but we can at least theorize. One thing that's been floating around of late in terms of who's playing, is some of those bigger name players that were in the World Junior Tournament. And, to me, I would love to see that. I think not only is that kind of throwing the Olympics back to what they used to be, 30, 40 years ago, of truly having amateur players and young guys and stuff.
92 was the year they used professionals for the first time.
So you go back to the 80s, it was all the young. It was 1980. It was all college guys. And I'm not saying that's what it should be, but I'll be honest, I hardly watched any of the 2018 Olympics because no one wants to watch, Joe Schmo who played in the NHL 6 years ago who's been ripping up the DEL lately. Like no one cares about that.
No.
So yeah, I mean, at least for me, if it ends up being like that, kind of how it was 4 years ago, I don't think I'll be overly interested. But if you do see, the injection of guys like Owen Power and Matty Beniers and Kent Johnson and, guys like that, then that's at least something to tune into, and say, hey, these guys are on the biggest stage in the world. Even if the best players in the world aren't there, it's still the biggest stage of sports. What can they do? It'll be fun to see that. So I really hope that does work out for some of those guys to go.
Right.
I would love to see that. But yeah, as far as, some of the veterans, I mean, it's fun to, hear some names that you haven't thought of in years, guys like, I don't know, Matt Tompkins, people like that.
My guy.
That's right.
Legend.
I think about him every night.
I agree with you. Eric, I totally agree with you because I don't I'm not watching the Olympics to watch Cody Franzen play. I think the AHL is going to let guys go. The KHL definitely wants as many of their players to go.
Mm-hmm.
Is what Russia will be all team KHL.
Yeah, and so, but the big question is now, TSN reported today that Team Canada wants to announce their Olympic team within the next 2 weeks, and they are considering Johnston and Power from Michigan. All these guys went back to Michigan to win a national championship. They've got five first-round picks on their college hockey roster. Not guys that are projected first-round picks, guys that have been drafted in the first round on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, will Michigan let them go in February, which is right around the corner from the Big Ten tournament and when the NCAA begins? And do you let these guys go? And also, do you run the risk of them getting COVID in China? If you get COVID in China, my guess is you're going to be there for an awfully long time. And I can't speak to the rules and regulations or what their quarantine period is like, but I can imagine it's not as loose as what the CDC just announced for us. And so I don't know. If you're the University of Michigan or you're their hockey program, what do you do if those guys are saying, hey, I really want to go? It was a little bit different when it was around the holidays and they were all playing in the World Juniors. I would have loved to see the IIHF, or is that what it's called? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
International Ice
Flip
Hockey
the script
Federation.
and say World Juniors is canceled. All of you guys are going to the Olympics instead. Would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Because the idea of it being an amateur event again is great, but the idea of it being a C- professional show,
The Spengler Cup, I believe somebody tweeted.
it just seems. I don't know. So I don't know who's going to be tuning in. I don't know what the ratings are going to be like, but it's anyone's guess.
I personally like Gary Bettman's suggestion: play it during the summer, move it to the summer after the NHL season. Then you can send all the kids because they won't be in college hockey at that point. Send all the amateur kids, let them play.
Right.
This way,
do
it
it in
doesn't
place of the
interfere with the
World
college season.
Championships.
Yeah, do it in place of the World Championship.
Yeah.
Because no one watches that and no one knows where the hell to watch it. It's like, it's like this obscure championship that happens every summer, but it's just, what is it? No one knows.
Canada wins, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. The only hockey I assume at this point that I'm going to be tuning into is the women's hockey and rooting for Team USA to take on the world and battle Canada and hope that they bring home the gold. Those games are amazing to watch. Just how hard they all work for this period of their lives. Man, they can all skate, and it's just really fun. And I don't think any NHL matchup has even come close to that kind of rivalry with the USA and Canada and what they have in women's hockey in the Olympics. So that I'm definitely turning into.
Yeah, I want to see Hillary Knight just uncork a slap shot again.
Yeah,
she is awesome.
Yeah, they're all awesome.
She's the only, isn't she the last female player to skate with an NHL team in a practice? I believe it's the Anaheim Ducks.
I don't know.
She's the last one to do it.
Yeah, could be.
Like in an actual practice.
Got it.
The other one was Manon Rayon. Did she do that
Rayon.
in a game, actually, or was it a preseason game or something?
Preseason game.
Oh, that's right.
first year of the
Tampa
Lightning.
Bay.
Yep. And Amanda Kessel's going this time. Like, obviously, Kendall Coyle will be there too. Like, I'm excited. I really like that women's team.
No, it'll definitely be a great watch, and I think is one of the highlights of the Olympics.
The Winter Games for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that and the cross country when that nutty announcer announced the gold medal winning. I don't know if you guys heard that. I'm going off on a tangent right now, but
the
cross country gold medal 2018, and whoever the commentator is there is unbelievable. He freaks out, and it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. At any rate, I digress. So the main part of our show, the main event, the All-Madden NHL Draft is what we're going to do. In honor of the late, great John Madden, God rest his soul. What a great sportsman. What an ambassador. What a video game. What a guy. And we're all going to miss him.
Even a movie star.
Lived a great life, lived to 85, even though when I was in third grade, I thought he was 85. But, great life and a great sportsman. So anyway, in honor of this, and the Bardo is going to run this show here. All-Madden NHL Draft. We're going to do this. We're going to have picks. What's the format, Bard? What are we doing? How's it going?
All right, so here's the format. So we know All-Madden is really defined as someone who exemplifies toughness and skill. So what we're going to do is we're going to draft our All-Madden teams. We're going to go around and you get the choice of 3 forwards. You get to pick 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, a goaltender, and a coach. So the coach is going to be a wild card. It could be a current or a former coach. And on your roster, on your actual player roster, you can have no more than 2 past NHLers. So everybody else has to be current, and then you could have 2 NHL legends, alumni, Hall of Famers, whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to give the first pick to our editor, Mr. Eric Andrews.
Okay, and we can't pick the same guys, right?
We can't pick the same guys, right?
All right, we got to keep some tallies on this. How do we do this? I'm trying to figure it out.
Who's keeping it? Bardo, are you keeping the list?
I can do it.
All right, I'm going to
enter
in
3
every
forwards
pick on the ticker. First pick, overall on the All-Madden Draft. What do we got?
All right. Well, I would just like to take this time to thank Puck Hockey for hosting this draft. Shout out to our fans back home at the watch party. Whether who that is, Gate, Aaron, I don't know. Anyway, with the first pick, extremely pleased to select from the he's on the Chicago Blackhawks now. Sam Lafford. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not taking Sam Lafford. Sean liked that one.
Yeah,
it wasn't that funny.
Nerve hit.
Actually, my first pick. I think this guy. I'll explain more after the pick, but I think this guy exemplifies everything that a Madden pick would be. That being Mr. Elbows, Gordie Howe.
Oh, that's tough.
So, yeah, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, the guy was arguably one of, if not the toughest player in NHL history. I mean, you could say, there were goons and enforcers that were tough for sure. But, I mean, guys that could play the game, I don't think there's anyone, that you could say was tougher than Gordie Howe.
Right.
No one wanted to even touch him because they didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
And obviously the skill, speaks for itself. So, yeah, I think, Gordie, in my opinion, is unquestionably the first pick in this draft.
I like it. So remember, fans, we're talking not just greatness here. We're talking toughness, grit, character, the kind of folks. But, man, that's tough to beat. A very worthy first pick. Awesome. We're going to have to publish this list on the Rink.com at some point.
Yeah. Andy,
all right,
next, number 2.
Follow that. Bardo, who's up?
You.
Me?
You, number 2.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, let's see. I gotta type this out. With the second overall pick in the draft. In the All-Madden Draft. Now remember, the prefacing, we're talking toughness, character, grit, and greatness. I am going to go with who I feel is the most underrated NHL blue liner of all time. The first overall pick in the 1973 NHL entry draft, and is so worthy of this honor that the Ranger fans just can't quite let it go. Dennis Potvin. There we go. Dennis Potvin, and here's why. Dennis Potvin, this guy was everything. He was the man. I don't even know if Dennis has one ends or two, but the way that we're putting it right now is it's only going to have one. Norris Trophy winner, captain of the greatest dynasty in hockey history, and I'm not going to let that go in any way, shape, or form. He can do everything on the ice, lateral movement. If he hits you, you're going to feel it for weeks, days, months. I think he was the first NHL defenseman to 1,000 points, I believe. I think Paul Coffey was right behind him, but he was there. But Paul Coffey couldn't carry Dennis Potvin's jock in a suitcase, if you ask me. This guy was the real deal, and I certainly think worthy of the second overall pick, and that's who I'm taking. All right.
Nice.
All right, Shawnee, you're up.
I am going to go with a man who went out on top, retired probably a little too early in his career, but, you know, one of the greatest all-time goaltenders, voted 2017 NHL's top 100 players. I'm going to go Ken Dryden from the Montreal Canadiens.
Sneaky. That's a really sneaky pick. Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, Ken Dryden, what 9 NHL seasons, 6 cups?
Yep.
Or something like that. And didn't he take a year off to go to law school?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty hardcore stuff. I mean, they don't really make them out of that mold anymore.
No. And he just knew. And one of the best books you'll ever read about hockey, The Game, is written about Ken Dryden.
The Game. Terrific book. Awesome. Great pick. This is awesome. All right, Bart, are you sure you're ready? You created this game and you're dominating.
Yeah, I think I got value with number 4. I am going to go with Mark Messier.
Yeah.
6-time, I think, Stanley Cup winner. The most, he had 2 of them were really impressive. It was the year that I think it was his first year without Gretzky when they made that run and beat the Bruins in the final. And I want to say that was 1990. That run was tremendous.
1990, yeah, 89, yeah. 90.
Yeah. And then obviously the run where he, ended the Rangers 50-year hex. So, that was obviously a historic moment.
Right.
And so, I think Mark Messier obviously exudes, toughness. He had skill. He was, arguably one of the best leaders in all of, professional sports. So, and tremendous, two-way player for sure.
Yeah, he was. I still remember in 1990, I was really, really hopeful because the Hawks had the Oilers in the conference final. They were up 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
They played game 4 in the Chicago Stadium, and the Hawks lost 4-2. And the Hawks played a really, really good game.
Yep.
And Messier had 2 goals and 4 points, and did everything.
Yep.
It was insane. So I mean that's a great pick. And now you're going right back at 5. And you have one more retired player you can use up, right?
Yes, one more retired player.
5th overall pick.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go with my goaltender, and I am going to go. And there's 2 that I'm thinking about, but I think there's one that I want to go with, and I'm going to stay in New York with this one. But actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to stay in New York. I'm going to go Billy Smith.
Battling Billy Smith.
So my other guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but maybe in the end I will. But Billy Smith, tough as nails, dude would swing his stick at him. You would run into him, and he would let you know that you ran into him. Obviously, a part of multiple Stanley Cups, and he was a big part of it. I know that team was loaded, but he was a big reason why they won. He had multiple games where he stood on his head. But yeah, I'm going Billy Smith.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. All right. So you're only on present players moving forward. And now
I'm only on present players moving forward. So Shawnee, you're up.
Shawnee, you're up with 6 overall.
Okay, I am gonna go. So I'm torn here.
Ooh.
I thought
think I
Sean
gotta
was going to
go- I
have
gotta
a
go-
guess in making the pick.
You've got your goalie already.
He'd like to thank the
I think-
Rinkcast for their hospitality.
I'm gonna go with
Gary Volk.
Ray Bork.
Ooh.
Good pick.
Not bad. Tell us more.
Well, Hall of Fame defenseman, won the Norris Trophy 5 times. With the Stanley Cup with the Avs in 2001. Top 100 greatest player of all time, according to the NHL.com. 410 goals, 1,116 assists, 1,579 points.
Yep.
I mean, tough guy, captain, a leader.
Yep.
You
Not
know.
bad.
And I want to build I'm building my All-Madden team from the blue line out.
Oh.
So
Yeah, he shops
And
right
he's
around
not
the
related to Penguins legend Phil Bork or Blackhawks legend Rene Bork.
corner.
No.
Shops right around the corner here at Butcher Boy, in North Andover. Good restaurant, or a good place to get some good meat. So I am going to, as much as I want to take a goalie right now, and I got a really good tip from someone on who I should take next, but I think I might hold off a little bit because I really want to nail down a present player as my maybe my premier pivot, my premier center iceman. And so with that, and though the person that just tried to tip me off to get me to take my goaltender, if he's upset about this pick, I'll have words with him. But with the 7th overall pick, I'm going to go with a current player, and that's Patrice Bergeron. Is going to be my center to lead my All-Madden team. I don't think when people take into account toughness, a lot of times they want to talk about rugged players, guys that drop the mitts, guys that throw their elbows. But there's something to say for that blue collar guy that goes out there and does his job and is asked to do so much for his team and does everything really, really well.
I believe in the 2013 Stanley Cup, he played with a punctured lung.
Punctured lung.
Mm-hmm.
He had a punctured lung. He got a punctured lung in Game 5 and played in Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like
he was taken in an ambulance during that game.
I remember it was an argument that I was having between Boston fans that whose injury was worse, Taves' concussion that he was playing with after Johnny Rocket ran him over, or Patrice Bergeron with a punctured lung. But I mean, every year that they go on this long playoff run, I mean, he was basically playing bone on bone with his groin against St. Louis. Instrumental. They're not the team they are without him. And I mean, Patrice Bergeron, history is going to look back on Patrice Bergeron and perhaps Bob Gainey along with him as the 2 best defensive forwards in hockey history. So that's who I want.
What does Mike Milbury say about it, though?
Oh, I don't care. There's a reason Mike Milbury and Jeremy Roenick aren't on the air anymore. So those guys can go.
Roenick, I believe, had that on the mind. So,
yeah. So that's who I'm going with. 2 picks coming up right now for my man Eric. What do you got? Sorry, Bardo. Didn't mean to take the thunder.
No, it's fine. Yeah, go.
All right. Well, I'm debating how to use my 2nd retired player spot. I think I am going to use it here. I could do it now or the next pick, but I'll do it here. And I think one thing that I would like to add to my team is some versatility. So with this pick, I'm going to pick someone that was a very, very good goaltender in his day. He was a Vezina Trophy winner after all. He also can provide me with, some good front office skills. He'll probably actually take over the GM role from me. And he could also chip in with some goal scoring as well. That being from the Philadelphia Flyers, Ron Hextall.
Ooh!
I thought he was going. I know where Andy thought he was going. That's where I thought he was going too.
Wow. Now we're talking. Are we talking toughness here? Or are we talking goonery?
I mean, a little bit of both, right? I mean, he you talk about a goalie that can do it all. I mean, I don't know that there's any goalie that actually could do it all better than Ron Hextall. So, yeah, that's where I'm going.
Could he stand at the blue line like Marty Turco, though? That's what I want to know.
That we don't know.
Or at the red line.
An issue here with the banners trying to write this thing. It's problems here all over the place. Trying to write Ron Hextall, and maybe that's just Mr. Madden going, don't do that.
That's okay. I'll give you some time because I'm not sure who I'm taking with the next pick. So
maybe John Madden saying Falco's back. Falco's back. Falco. I think he's running.
Footsteps Falco.
Yeah. Footstep Falco from the Sugar Bowl. The same.
Yeah. For some reason, I still can't.
I just saw Bergeron come through.
I know, and I for whatever reason I can't get the 8th pick up there. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Eric, you're back up again.
Ron Hextall, huh? Ron Hextall. That'll be my goaltender, my depth scoring, and my GM. So with the 9th pick, obviously now I'm just on to current players. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to consider this guy just because it's one of those guys that you love, you hate, kind of depends on where you're at as far as fandom and stuff. But, it's a guy that, I think definitely belongs on this list for sure. We already have one of his teammates that was selected, that being from the Boston Bruins, Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand. Come on, man.
You look at the last, I don't know how many years. I mean, probably close to 10 years at this point. He's one of the most consistent point producers in the NHL over that time. Obviously, his reputation, precedes himself. But, he's still a tough guy. He's not going to back down from anybody. Whether you are in line with those antics or not, I would say personally, I am not, but, the toughness is there. The skill is 100% there. Is he a bit of a goon at times? Yeah, absolutely. But, like I said at the top, I mean, his point production has been right up there. I think he's probably top 5 in point production over the last 7-8 years. So it's hard to deny that, and getting that in the 3rd round is a steal.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Well, I guess we all have our own definition of toughness. Not sure for me if that incorporates slew footing and licking people. But I guess I don't know. Maybe it's not up to me with that pick. And I'm glad you didn't choose someone who I'd like to choose. At any rate, so we're back to me right now. Mm-hmm. All right. So considering everyone has their netminder and they're going Hall of Fame style, that gives me a little leeway to pick a current netminder. So maybe I'm not going to waste that pick on my goalie, even though I thought I would. And if we want to talk about true life toughness in the game of hockey and greatness, I am going to go with another player who can play any position on the ice as my next forward. And that is Super Mario. Mario Lemieux is going to be my next pick. And, we talked about, or we didn't talk about, but Mario Lemieux, what he had to deal with his back, what he had to deal with guys going after him every single night, and how he performed all the time and was the most magical player I've ever seen play the game of hockey. And anyone who saw Mario Lemieux live will tell you that you're never going to see anything like it again. Yep. And the other thing about Mario Lemieux, we talk about Madden, we talk about toughness. This is a guy who, after winning the back-to-back Conn Smythe trophies in the Stanley Cup in 91 and 92, in the 92-93 season, got Hodgkin's lymphoma, got cancer, took 2 months off during the season and came back and still won the scoring title in what I consider the greatest individual season of all time.
Mhm.
And also watching him and Wayne Gretzky in the Canada Cup. I don't know if we'll ever see better hockey played than we did in 1987 in that summer. So I'm running my mouth too much, but Mario Lemieux is my second forward picked and my last retired hockey player. Awesome. Who's up?
Shawnee.
All right, so I am going to address a forward position, and I'm out of all-time grades. So I'm going to select a forward that's finished second in the Selke 3 times, third once, fifth, and was second in the Calder Trophy his rookie year. I'm going to go with the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone.
Ooh, I like that pick. Good pick. He's something, man. And you remember when he was on Ottawa and everyone's like, "Ooh, someone's going to pick him up and they're going to love it."
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's plays 18 to 20 minutes a night. Good defensive forward, scores. He's a real leader on the ice. I like him a lot.
Awesome. Love it. Bardo.
All right.
And
So
you've
my
got
next
two,
pick-
you've got two now, Bardo? Or no,
Yes. Back to back.
back to back. Okay.
I got two
Snake
back to back.
draft.
So I am going to address a forward position, and when I think of toughness, I bet you a lot of people don't. But when I tell you why, you may be convinced. You may not be, but I think it's a fair argument. And I'm going Patrick Kane.
Woo!
And if you think about when he came into the league and there was debate as to whether or not he was going to be the number one overall pick, and everyone knew how skilled he was, but people were always concerned about his size and his durability and his ability to last in the league very long. But you know what? This kid has, he's gotten better defensively to somebody who at least is responsible defensively. He came in and he had no clue or no desire to play defense. He is a kid who's targeted. I call him a kid now, but he's targeted every single night by every team's best defenseman, best defensive forward line, and he's still able to become an elite scorer and finish in the top 3 to 5 in scoring every single year. And how many injuries has he had? I mean, major injuries. I can only count one, and that was the year in 2015, and I was at that game
Broke a collarbone.
against Florida when he got the broken collarbone. But apart from that, find me a major injury that he's had. I don't think he's had. And he's lasted, and he's not slowing down.
No, he's not.
So he's
not.
been in the league since he was, 18, 19, and now he's 31, 32. And still playing at an elite level.
Yeah.
So to me, there's a degree of toughness there. So I am taking Kaner.
I love it. I love it. The other thing about Kane too is if you recall the year that he was drafted first overall, 2008. Is that 2008 or 2009? I can't remember. 2008.
Yeah.
2007. Sorry. Taves was 06. Kane was 07.
Right. Okay.
But that wasn't like a clear, this is the guy that everyone's taking draft. I mean, it was between him and Van Riemsdyk. And I remember personally being irritated, be like, they should have taken Van Riemsdyk. This guy's not going to survive. And people are comparing like, oh, he'll project like a Daniel Briere.
Actually, wasn't Dale Talon
Danny Briere? Oh God.
Wasn't Dale Talon actually in love with the player who went third overall? Let's see if you guys remember his name.
Is it Johnson?
Turris.
Very good, Eric. Very good.
Turris.
Kyle Turris.
Gretzky was all over Kyle Turris.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to break
Turris
all my
went
records. Like, yeah.
All right.
But anyway, great pick. And now you're on the clock again.
I'm on the clock again. So right now, I'm going to go onto the blue line. I'm going to get somebody who is a cup winner, a Norris Trophy winner, still playing at the top of his game, one of the leaders in block shots. I'm going Alex Pietrangelo.
Ooh,
good pick.
Very good pick. I need to learn how to spell Pietrangelo.
There's a P and an
It's
I
a hard one.
and a T or
Alex P.
Alex P. Yeah. Alex P. Keaton. All right, Shawnee, you're up.
So I'm going to go with a guy we talked about earlier when discussing the Washington Capitals. I'm going to go with Alexander Ovechkin.
Oh, that's so
In addition
good.
to
And that was my
scoring
next pick.
40 or 50 goals every year, he also is consistently, I shouldn't say consistently, but he's close to 200 hits a year. So he lays the body. Big guy, plays 20 minutes a night. Alexander Ovechkin is my pick at forward.
Strong. I'd say that's strong to quite strong. So that's 14th overall. And make this easy for everyone and just go Ovi.
Ovi.
All right, Andy, you're up.
As soon as it saves. All right, I'm up, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Victor Hedman. I'm going to put on the blue line with Dennis Potvin. And
It was either Victor Hedman or Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, and I mean, Victor Hedman is established himself as the premier defenseman in the NHL right now. He's got the offense, he's got the size, he's got the lateral movement, he plays the defensive game, and he plays a lot. And he's been very, very durable. Enough said. Victor Hedman. I think that's my guy.
All right, EA, 2 picks.
Fair enough. That's a good pick. I was going to take him if he was not off the board. One guy that I will take, to round out my forward position here. I already have Gordy on the right and Brad Marchand on the left. I'm going to take a bit of a page out of a book that was taken earlier, but go for more of a, just a very well-rounded player who is very much, first and foremost, an excellent leader, and has certainly had his fair share of battles physically throughout his career as well. We have seen that very recently as well. That being our captain, Jonathan Toews.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, we said it on this podcast coming into this season. We did not expect anything from him this year. And is he his old self of 10 years ago? Well, no. But is he playing better than I think probably all of us expected? Yeah, at least for me. I mean, he's, a pretty solid player still. I didn't think he was going to be that good. The production isn't there, but that's okay. But, this guy was off the ice for a year, and came back and is playing at a pretty high level. So, that in and of itself deserves a spot. But, just the fact of how many miles has been on his body throughout his career, how much pressure has been put on him to perform during those cup runs, not only, offensively, defensively, as far as leadership. It's pretty remarkable the things that he has accomplished throughout his career. And it's definitely more of that leader type of toughness. He's not going to go out and drop the gloves, obviously, but you talk about best leaders in the history of the sport. Messier's up there, and there's a few other guys that are up there, but Toews, if he's not top 5, he might even be top 3. So, yeah.
I believe, didn't Jonathan Toews win the first ever Mark Messier award?
Leadership award. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I'm going Toews for that pick.
I like that.
So this leaves me at only defenseman at this point. So I did really want Hedman, so I'm kind of trying to figure out who I want here. There are definitely a few guys that still, would fulfill this for sure. But, one guy that I'm thinking of, and I'll probably take, I'm just looking at the list real quick just to make sure I'm not overlooking somebody crazy. I'll just go with him. Kind of in the same ilk as Toews, I would say, in a lot of ways, not a guy that's going to go out and bash somebody's face in, but, a guy that carried the mail, for many years. And, he's not what he used to be, similar to Toews. But Duncan Keith,
he's going
the
back
guy.
to Hawks.
Yeah.
Absolute
I'm going there, but, just an all-time great defenseman who could play pretty much any way you want. He's not going to crush you with a huge hit, like a Chris Pronger or Nicholas Kronwall would or something. But or Scott Stevens or somebody like that. if anyone has any retired spots left, those are good options. But yeah, I mean, Duncan Keith could do it all. And, I mean, let's not forget losing however many teeth he lost in that game and coming back.
That was
that's tough. So, yeah, that's the guy I want on my team any day.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good pick.
Really good pick.
And his regimen for years has been and how he takes care of his body. And he had that quote, and it was in a commercial. I forgot what it was, where people were like, where he said, "What is toughness?" And toughness is eating the right things, saying no to putting poison in your body, waking up early, making sure you're always ready, stuff like that. So I like it. You don't have to sell me on Duncan Keith.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. With the 18th overall pick and my final forward slot, I've got a forward and a goalie to go. I still don't have a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But with the 18th overall pick, I am going to go with someone who is still kicking. He's done everything but win a Stanley Cup, and he's one of the reasons that I'm pulling for the Florida Panthers this year. I'm going Jumbo Thornton, and Johnny's mad.
That was my next pick. Oh, that was my next pick.
Yeah, who's not rooting for Joe Thornton this year? 42 years young. I think he's 43 this spring or something. He's done everything except win that Stanley Cup. He's the Ray Bourque of forwards. And hats off to you, man. And I don't even think he's playing that much for Florida right now. I don't know if he's hurt. He's only played 19 games this year. But that guy needs a ring. And so the Florida Panthers, they got the tools this year. We'll see if they can make it. But Jumbo Joe, congrats on an epic career. And as far as that whole toughness factor, with the beard to go with it, Jumbo Joe Thornton is my final forward pick. Shawnee, are you up?
Shawnee, you're up.
I am. All right. So, tough one here. I've got a forward and defenseman. And then we have to pick coaches, don't forget.
Oh,
I could have thrown a wild card at you and pick a coach right now.
Do it.
I may. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Barry Trotz. I'm going to take Barry Trotz.
Liking Barry Trotz.
Also, I don't know if I watched the road to. It was some special or whatever. He's got a son that is Down syndrome, I believe.
Yes, he does.
And he does a lot for his son, and I think that takes a toughness, because I've never experienced it, but my wife's uncle had Down syndrome. It's tough, and I think there's a certain type of toughness, and I think Madden would have respected that. So that's why I took Barry Trotz.
I like it. All right, who we got? 20th overall.
All right. Debating on two defensemen, but I have to go with the one that I think is going to be. He's not the same player at all, but he's a future Hall of Famer, Zdeno Chara. I mean, in his prime, I mean, he was basically what Victor Hedman is now. I mean, he was do everything with his size, with his strength, with his defensive ability, offensive ability. I mean, he could dominate a game. I mean, that's really all. And maybe the last we saw of him being really great was in that 2013 series, maybe a little afterwards. But yeah, tremendous player. I mean, hell, I met him when I was in college and I interned for the AHL. I met him and he was one of the AHL All-Stars. I saw this guy. I'm like, holy, he's a big dude. Didn't speak a word of English. Nice guy. But yeah. So
you don't know. He was cursing you out in whatever language he does speak.
That's true. Probably was. I was a doofus then. Doofus now too. Yeah. Zdeno Chara is my pick.
It's pretty good.
For defenseman. And I go one more time with a forward, and I'm looking at a current forward. So I am going to go with Anze Kopitar.
Ooh.
To me, he's kind of a poor man's Bergeron. Maybe he's a little better offensively. Still very good defensively. Tough as nails. Still doing it. But yeah, I'm going to take Kopitar. Two-time Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with him. Versatile forward. He's my guy.
I mean, can you imagine how people would talk about Kopitar if he played on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, that's been the only flaw in his game is playing in Los Angeles, where, if he was out here right now, he'd be revered and be a demigod, and people would be talking about him the way that they talk about Bergeron and others.
Absolutely agree with you.
What a talent. Hall of Famer. Awesome pick.
Hall of Famer.
Awesome pick.
All right. So I'm going to stay with the LA Kings, and I'm going to go with Drew Doughty.
Ooh. Good pick.
Norris Trophy winner in 2015-16. I believe he was. He's also been like a Norris finalist. Plays 25 minutes a night. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. His picture on Hockey Reference, he's missing his 2 front teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't say All-Madden toughness, I don't know what does.
Yeah, and he has the best microphone chirp in NHL history. I forgot who that Anaheim Ducks player was who was yelling at him, and he looks at him, he goes, "Buddy, you suck at hockey."
And I think he was part of tying it to the Hawks.
For how long? How long? And you're still on the 4th line. I don't know. Find that on YouTube.
What was
amazing.
Wasn't that Hawks game where the Hawks looked like they were on the penalty kill the entire period, and there wasn't? It was just the Kings were just dominating them for that period. Drew Doughty was on the ice, I think, that entire shift.
Yeah. It
was insane. I think Quinville even said that was like the most, because there wasn't a whistle for like 6 minutes or something crazy in that period.
Yeah. Crazy
So
stuff.
Drew Doughty.
All right. So am I up? Am I up right now?
You were up.
Yeah, I need a coach.
I went quick.
Yeah, I need a coach, and this might. I don't know if this is toughness or what, but I'm gonna go with a coach, and I don't know exactly. This is my wild card. I don't know what Madden would think of this guy because I think philosophically they'd probably be a lot different. Very tempted to go with the best coach of all time, who I'm sure one of you is going to take, but I'm going to go with Mike Keenan as my coach, and I think I'm obsessed with the '87 Canada Cup, and I watched a documentary on how he handled that team, and it was somewhat Herb Brooksian, and they all kind of rallied around, God, guys, like, let's do what we have to do and try to ignore this guy. And that was his plan the whole time. And, they were playing the Soviet Union, who had a group of guys who were among the best in the world. And
I think I watched that documentary too. It was just like, it was like a best of 7 in Canada versus the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
It was Sebastian Koonway was on that team.
I don't know who that is. It was a 1987 Canada Cup, had Gretzky.
It was Bobby Hull's younger brother was on that team.
No, that was the Summit Series in '72.
Okay.
Yeah. But the '87 Canada Cup was the best hockey that was ever played at any rate. And then Mike Keenan, obviously he, I think a lot of Hawk fans didn't like him because he ran Dennis Savard out of town in favor of Chris Chelios. That was obviously unpopular, but then he goes to the Rangers and is exactly what they needed and won the cup and had a very storied career. He obviously burnt out very quickly and his antics were used up, but either way, the kind of toughness factor, I guess, in a sense that he said, look, I don't care what people think. He's like the Jose Mourinho of the NHL coaches. Just like, I do what I want. I don't care what people think. Anyway, who's up?
All right. EA.
I've got my final defenseman and I've got my coach. And I think both of these are really good picks at this point in the draft, especially being limited to a current defenseman. This is a guy that you're definitely not thinking of when you think of, the scrappy, the, grinder, all that. You're not thinking of him in that sense of toughness, but this is a guy that has struggled through injuries his entire career, and it almost seems like every time he has a big setback, he comes out even better when he does come back. And that's certainly very respectable in its own right. But he's played at a very high level his entire career ever since 2006, still going strong. A guy that I think any anyone would love to have on their team, even still today. That being from the Pittsburgh Penguins, Chris Letang.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who, like I said, he's had a lot of, quote unquote, normal injuries throughout his career. But I mean, let's not forget the guy at 26 years old had a stroke.
Yep.
And came back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it's pretty remarkable the physical toughness, in himself that he has, had throughout his career. So, yeah, I mean, definitely an elite two-way defenseman. Obviously known for his puck moving ability, but a very good defender as well. And does have that extreme personal toughness as well. So that's my final player pick. And then for my coach, I was thinking, as you guys were making your last picks, who I wanted to go with. And I had someone in mind that, is a former player, that probably more so fits kind of that rugged type of style. But I ended up going with someone different. So I'll see if any of you guys pick up on the other guy that I was initially thinking of, but I just thought of this guy a minute ago. He's also a former player, current head coach, extremely, strong in the leadership area, both when he was a player and today as a head coach. Toughness, in terms of how he takes care of himself, and I think a lot of people would say he might be the best head coach in the NHL today. That being, and bringing it full circle back to the Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brind'Amour.
Brindy, I like that pick.
So, yeah, I mean, arguably,
but you mess with us again and say Derek King at one point. I really thought that was going to happen.
No, but I mean, you
look at Robbie Ftorek.
You look at Brind'Amour. I mean, he could probably still play today and probably be the best conditioned player in the NHL.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Colleton begs to differ.
Well, that's his problem.
Jeremy Colleton.
It's best coach, not best communicator, damn it.
Good luck, Jeremy, wherever you are out there.
He's probably listening.
Probably. He's probably
nothing better to do.
He's probably wrapped up in tinfoil talking to himself somewhere. Weird dude. Right. So I have my goalie, and this is my last pick, and it has to be a current guy. I'm the only one to go with a current goalie, and I am going to go with excellence and toughness in the same form. I'm going with Carey Price. And I'm going with Carey Price because it takes a lot of courage to address whatever he's going through right now, especially after a cup run. He is so – I think he's maybe the most talented goaltender in the league next to Vasilevsky. And how you play in that market being a goaltender and you manage to do the things that people ask you to do, and you're quiet and you're friendly and you're a leader, and everyone says, oh, they'll never win with you. And now he's taking time off to address stuff that he needs to address, and he will be back. I think that guy's awesome. One of my favorite moments in recent hockey lore was that time where they beat Ottawa in the playoffs and they gave Pricer the silent treatment when he came into the locker room. I'm sure you've all seen that clip. And he walked in, they're all sitting there silent. He starts looking around. He goes, yeah. And then they all go, ah! So I don't know, YouTube it. It's awesome. I'll send it to the group. But Carey Price is a winner. And he's going to be in the pipes for me and my crew.
All right, Johnny.
Two more to go.
I'm going to stay out west. He's the captain of. I'm all about captains apparently. But I think All-Madden, he kind of got to be like that. Had the weight of the organization on his back for a long time. They're kind of rebuilding right now. They're going to be back sooner than we think, maybe next season. I'm going to go with Ryan Getzlaf.
I like that pick. Nice.
And then honorable mention, maybe that should just be All-Madden this year. Kyle Beach, I think, should just be All-Madden for coming out and
100%.
saying what he did and, sharing what happened to him. And I think Kyle Beach should be All-Madden. So I honestly just thought of that like a little bit ago. So
Amen. Well, I'm short a coach, so my coach that I've gone through and thought about a lot of different people. I'm going with Al Arbor.
Love it. That was definitely on my mind too.
A lot of people just think, he's a guy that just had a ridiculously talented team, and he did, but he also had they also had a toughness about them that came from him. I'm not old enough to remember him as a player, but I know as a player he was a pretty hard-nosed guy when he was with the Blues, among the Blackhawks and other teams. But you got to be able to manage a bunch of egos. You got to have a little bit of toughness and show some tough love to these guys. The record that Andy, I agree with you that'll never be broken is the 19 straight playoff series wins that they've had. I mean, he won the Jack Adams in 78, 79 with 51 wins. It was like 51, 15, and 14, which is a ridiculous number. I mean, he's one of the all-time, leaders in wins and, Hall of Famer, God rest his soul. But he's a guy that I would, he could coach my team any day of the week.
Awesome. Great pick.
If Colleton's not available, of course. Then,
of course. So this
Sheldon Brookbank.
Sorry. What's that? Sheldon Brookbank.
Or Sheldon Brookbank.
Yeah. So this concludes our All-Madden draft and what could possibly be the longest Rinkcast that we've had in modern day history, but a good one nevertheless. Eric, do you think we can get those picks up on the website somehow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Showcase those, and then Bardo, send those out so we can all take a look at our rosters. I wrote mine down. I didn't write anyone else's down, but some awesome picks.
Maybe what we do is we put up a poll. Can we turn it into a poll?
That's the next move.
Or we can put it on Twitter, and you could make it. You could list the teams and maybe link it to the Rink page.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly get to all that. But time to sign off. The Hawks start in a little bit. Going to be a late night in the desert, I believe. And for all the listeners out there, particularly those of you who stuck through our entire draft, thank you very much. Any parting shots from any of you guys?
Nylander sucks.
Anything else?
It's something. Just happy birthday to my dad again.
Happy birthday, Mr. Fitzgerald. And if you're listening out there, thank you. You're the one.
Oh, and I'm late to the party. Watch Ted Lasso. It's great.
Oh, yeah. It's great stuff. Ted Lasso is definitely a great show. Cobra Kai season 4 is also excellent. I just finished it. It is awesome, and I binge watched it too fast that I was very sad when it was over. Anyway, on behalf of my colleagues in the Chicago Rinkcast, thank you everyone for listening, for bearing with us. This will be up on the website and on iTunes and all sorts of fun places. We will be back with some more Hawks, but with a lot more NHL stuff moving forward. So take care, everybody, and have a great night.